Buongiorno, da bin ich wieder mit einer neuen Episode meines Podcasts Chianti Classico fürs Ohr auf ein Glas Wein mit Nina in Chianti. Ich bin übrigens Nina und ich liebe Chianti Classico und mit diesem Podcast will ich dich mitnehmen in meine Chianti Classico Welt und dich teilhaben lassen an Gespräch mit Winzern, an meinen Eindrücken hier im Chianti und dir so viel wie möglich über Chianti Classico erzählen. Heute ist das der zweite Teil meines Gesprächs mit Margherita Manetti vom Weingut Fontodi aus Panzano in Chianti. Wenn du den ersten Teil noch nicht gehört haben solltest, dann empfehle ich dir, diesen zuerst zu hören. Denn Margherita erzählt darin sehr persönlich von ihrer Familie, der Geschichte des Weinguts Fontodi und ihrem ganz persönlichen Weg ins Weingut. Außerdem haben wir bereits über das breite Sortiment von Fontodi-Weinen gesprochen. Margherita hat erklärt, wo die einzelnen Weine herkommen, durch welche Lagen die Rebpflanzen geprägt sind und unter welchen Bedingungen die Trauben dort heranreifen. Jetzt soll es aber weitergehen. Wir werfen gemeinsam einen Blick in den Keller von Fontodi, sprechen über Amphoren, Barrique, den legendären Flaccianello und über die Zukunft von Chianti Classico ganz allgemein. Also lass uns gemeinsam eintauchen in die Welt von Fontodi. Und weil Margherita leider kein Deutsch spricht, habe ich das Gespräch in Englisch mit ihr geführt.
Let's have a walk together through the cellar in by mind, let me say.
Of course, yes.
What could you say to us about your cellar?
Okay, so we have a beautiful cellar that was built in 1998, okay, from my father, when we started to increase the production.
Yeah.
And the idea of my father was to build the cellar on descending levels to follow the gravity. Because we try to limit the use of the pumps and the machines. We try to use just the pipes to move the wines and the grapes through the different levels. So we started from the roof. So on the roof, we have the first step. So we have the sorting tables. We have 3 tables. And over there, we do the selection of the grapes. So let me say that we pick all of the grapes by hand. And so we do double selection of the grapes. So first selection in the vineyards, because we leave the unhealthy grapes in the vineyards because they're picked by hand. And a second selection once they arrive in the cellar. So on the tables. We first do the selection of the bunches. Then we remove the stems. So using, of course, the stemmer. So we don't use the stems, okay, for our wines. And then we select the berries. Everything is done by hand. So at the end of the selection, just the perfect grapes, they arrive in the cellar, so in the tanks for the alcoholic fermentation.
So how many people are at the sorting table?
More or less 10. Yes,
Mamma mia.
10. And sometimes...
because I know it's going very fast.
Yes, it's going very fast. This is a terrible work for your eyes and for your back.
Yeah.
Because you have to say, stand up all the day to check and select the grapes. So sometimes, I'm going to be able to help the guys to select the grapes, and especially at the beginning of my career, we could say. So yes, I used to work there for all the harvests. So imagine 3 weeks or more to stay at the table. It's terrible, but we have to do because again, so for us, quality is so important. So we try to do our best to use the perfect berries for the wines, of course. And considering the vineyards, we have like 3 team of pickers, and we are around 80 people during the harvest. And we are, more people during the harvest to help us to pick the grapes, usually from Panzano. Yes, from Panzano, from Greve, they live nearby. Usually, they are like young guys after the high school. They have time and they want to do an experience. Yes. And so we are around 80 people. And
they always need money.
Yes. And we need 1 month to finish the harvest, okay? Because we have a lot of grapes, a lot of vineyards. So then we have another room that is located like in the middle of the cellar. So this is like the second level, where we do the alcoholic fermentation. So we have a lot of stainless steel tanks with temperature control machine, and we do the fermentation of all of Sangiovese inside the tanks. Instead for the international varieties, we have started to use the amphoras, the terracotta amphoras that we make in a terracotta company for fermentation. So we have started in 2015 with Pinot Noir. 2018 with Sauvignon Blanc and Trebbiano, and 2 years ago with Syrah. Okay.
Interesting.
Yes. So the amphoras are so useful for fermentation because they are made with galestre, our soil, remember?
Yeah.
And the galestre, it has natural properties that allow us to keep the temperature inside the amphoras. Okay, so they're so useful for fermentation. We just move them in different rooms depending on what we have to do. So if we have to do the fermentation, we move them in the room where we have the tanks and we have warm temperature. And so the fermentation could start because the fermentation is spontaneously. So we use indigenous yeast. Okay, so the process is the same in the tanks and the amphoras. And so we do some punch down and pumping over. We do pumping over by hand once a day and punch down twice a day. In the amphoras, so we do just punch it down by hand. We have like a pedal and we push the cap down because it's so difficult to do pumping over. So we do just punch it down. And the maceration is like 30 days, okay, for all the wines. And after the maceration, we separate the skins from the mass and we have vertical presses, okay, to press the skins. And then, as I told you, we use the skins for the compost. So we mix the manure, the skins with the manure of the cows. So consider our philosophy is to try to use just the internal resources of the estate in order to reduce the needs of any external inputs. So we try to reuse everything, okay? So we reuse the skins, we reuse the stems, so everything exactly. We see like the state as a closed system.
Yep.
So even the stems that we removed at the table, they go in the compost, okay? So we mix everything with the manure of the cows. And so after the maceration, so when the wines are ready, we move them downstairs. So the lowest level where we have the barrels. We have barrels and casks for aging. We have a lot of barrels, around 1,000 barrels, and we buy all the barrels from friends. From 7 different estates. We have light, medium, and toasted barrels. But we have only French oak, okay, in Fontodi.
Yeah.
Because the French oak is the most suitable, is the best type of oak with our Sangiovese, okay? And we have also some casks, we call them botti in Italian, that we use like for the final part of aging of all of the Sangiovese. So more or less the average aging period in oak is 2 years, okay, for all the wines. Like for the Flaccianello and the Gran Selezione, the aging is the same. So we use the barrels for 1 year. So around 30% new. And then for the second year of aging, we use the botti, the casks, okay? Then for Pinot Noir, we are experimenting a lot with Pinot Noir. So as I told you, we do the fermentation in Amphore. And then the last 2 vintages, they were made in tonneau. Okay.
Is this the influence of your brother and your cousin?
Yes, because they wanted to reduce like the use of the oak and they wanted to keep the finesse and the elegance of the Pinot Noir, which is, a little bit finer variety with a little bit thinner skin than Sangiovese. So it's much better to use a lot of oak for Pinot Noir. So they've changed something every year. Some vintages were made in amphoras, other in barrels, and other in tonneau. Yes. And they are taking care of these small projects because we don't have a lot of hectare of Pinot Noir. So we make few bottles, like 1,000 bottles. And they like to use the amphoras. So we are using a lot of amphoras for the Pinot Noir. And they've started also to use amphoras 2 years ago for fermentation of Syrah. Yes. And but the special project of my cousin and my brother is the new white wine.
Yeah.
So the 23 is going to be the first vintage. And so this is a 100% Trebbiano. And this wine is called the Fontodi Bianco, so Fontodi White, because it's a white wine. And so they experimented with this wine since many years. So they started in 2019 to experiment with the Trebbiano. Okay. So they've tried to use the amphoras at the beginning for the aging of Trebbiano, and it was super nice. I tried some bottles, super nice, but they were not happy about the color because it was so deep. So it seemed like an orange wine. So we didn't like the color, especially my father. Yeah. So we changed it, and now the final result is in tonneau, okay? So this wine is made in tonneau, okay? The Fontodi Bianco.
And it's very nice.
It's a very nice, and you don't feel the use of the oak.
No,
yes, because we don't use new tonneau, but they are all tonneau, used tonneau. So, but it gives like the complexity, to the wine, the body. So yes, it's an amazing wine. I like this wine so much. Yeah.
It's good to hear the new spirit in the cellar. But your father had also another spirit many, many, many years ago. Let me see. He was a crazy guy. Together with other crazy winemakers, because they did a revolution. They did a revolution to produce a 100% Sangiovese.
Yeah.
And today or not only today, it's called Flaccianello at Fontodi. So the Flaccianello was a part of the revolution here all over in Tuscany, not only in Chianti, also in Tuscany. And Super Tuscans is the title about it. We speak about the 70s and the 80s. For us today, 100% Sangiovese is quite normal. You can find it almost everywhere, in every winery here. At least one wine, 100% Sangiovese. Can you explain us what you think about that revolution nowadays? Is it for you as well a revolution, or do you think, and what characterizes that wine? What makes it to the flagship wine of Fontodi?
So, Flaccianello is one of the original Super Tuscans. All of these wines, they were born at the end of the 70s, beginning of 80s, in opposition, to the rules of the consortium. And Flaccianello was born in 1981. So one was of the first Super Tuscans, and my father considered was very young in 81. So at that time, he was helped by an enologist, okay? And so they invented together the Flaccianello. So their idea was to make a wine for aging and for occasion.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem was that in 1981, the rules of the consortium, they were different than today regarding the blend. So now, to make a Chianti Classico, we must use at least 80% Sangiovese and 20%. We could use also international varieties, but just reds. At that time, so the consortium, they predicted the use of white varieties in the blend. That's why we have Malvasia and Trebbiano. We used to put in the Chianti Classico and Fontodi in the 70s and 80s. But my father, he didn't want to put white varieties in Flaccianello, because if he wanted to make a wine that it could last forever, so for aging, if you dilute, if you blend the white varieties with Sangiovese, you dilute, the potential of Sangiovese. So he didn't want to do this. And so he made Flaccianello as 100% Sangiovese, and he tried to send a sample to a consortium. So we have to do this in order to get a Chianti Classico certification. And so, they tried the wine, etc., and they rejected the wine because it was just Sangiovese. Is crazy, today.
Yeah, crazy.
And so the only category at that time, it was a table wine, vino da tavola. So the first vintages of Flaccianello, they were classified as vino da tavola.
Let me say declassified.
Declassified,
because
exactly.
vino da tavola was at the basic
My father
level.
was forced to declassify the wine because
I know.
At the time there was only the OCG or vino da tavola. There was no IGT. IGT was created in the middle of 90s.
I think as following of the Super Tuscan to give a little bit the Super Tuscan.
And then a categorization, for Super Tuscans. I think the first vintage of Flaccianello as IGT was 94. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And but this is the same story of all the Super Tuscans of Chianti Classico. So like Pergole Torte, Cepparello, Fontalloro, so di San Nicolò, San Felice, I think was the first one. And so those wines are called the Super Tuscans, because it was not a category for them, and but it's not a classification. So the classification was table wine then IGT, just a name, given by a
journalist. I think an American journalist.
Yeah, American journalist. Yes, he started to call this wine, Super Tuscan. But it was a revolution, And consider now it's so hard, it's so difficult to understand. There's a lot of confusion, especially from the customers, because they don't understand. So those wines are 100% Sangiovese. Why they are not Chianti Classico? Because of course now Flaccianello could be Chianti Classico as the other wines, but
could be a Gran
Selezione, of course. We still declassify the wines, the grapes from a Chianti Classico in order to make IGT. And that's just so difficult to understand. It's unbelievable, But, my father was proud of his decision, is the revolution. So he doesn't want to change the category, no? So because the consortium, they rejected the wine. So why, change the category to Chianti Classico? And so this is sometimes difficult to understand. My father told me one day, a few months ago, that maybe they could do a change altogether with all the producers. So maybe they could change the category to Gran Selezione di Chianti Classico or for Super Tuscans altogether. Yes, but we will see in the future. Even because my father now is the president of Chianti Classico. So for him, Chianti Classico, to make Chianti Classico is so important. So we will see. At the moment, we don't want to change the category, even because it has a name as a GT. Everybody knows the story. Yes. It was so important for the Italian wines.
Yes, for the Italian wines, for the whole wineries here. It changed a lot.
It changed a lot.
I think it started with, my personal opinion, with Tignanello, with
exactly,
Takis and Piero Antinori.
Yes.
They really started. I think they have been the first using Barrique.
Yes.
So
exactly.
in Italy. So it's really crazy, guys.
Yes. Yes, even my father started to use Barrique. Consider the Chianti Classico, like in the 70s. It was aged, of course, in botti and in casks. And we started to use Barrique in the middle of 80s, even because my father went to France with our enology, so he tried some wines, so he learned new techniques, of course, yes. It was a revolution in the 80s in general in all of Italy. Yes, he got given a technique, yes.
Thanks to these guys.
Yes, of course, thanks to these guys. And Flaccionello is more or less still the same since 1981. We never changed a lot. We've changed something in the aging, because at the beginning we used to age Flaccionello just in barrels, like 80% of new barrels. And now, the trend is to reduce the use of new barrels, to have a lower aromas of oak. This is also an intervention of my cousin and my brother. They changed something when they started to work in the cellar, like we could say in 2015-16. So now we have reduced the percentage of new barrels from 80 to 30%.
Okay.
And we have started also to use the boat for the final part of aging, the casks, to have a little bit smoother tannins, lower aromas of oak. We are changing something, of course. Yes, even because the preference of the customers are changing. We sometimes
it's always a trend.
A trend, yes.
But what is not a trend, let me say, which is really a tradition, is the name Flaccionello.
See? It's a name, it's a brand now, Flaccionello.
Yes, I know a little bit the story, but perhaps you can explain it.
So, the name Flaccionello came from the name of the church located close to the winery. It is a church of our community. It's a beautiful little Romanic church located on the top of the hill close to the state between Panzano and Fontodi. And the name of the church is San Leolino a Flacciano, and Flacciano was a saint. And so that's why the name Flaccionello. And if you look at the label, the front label of Flaccionello, you'll find a cross. And this is exactly the same cross of the church. So if you go inside this church on the altar, you will see the same cross. We have exactly.
And on the columns as well. It's beautiful.
It's a cross from Longobardi. Yes. And we have decided to put on the label of Flaccionello. So the idea of my father was to make a wine in honor of the church, even because we have found some documents. And we think that most of our vineyards, they used to belong to the church, okay, like in medieval time, because the priest used to make wines here in Panzano. Yes. So that's why everything is related with the church. And even because we are in the community of San Leolino. Yes. So considering Panzano, there are two churches. One is located like in the old part of the town. This is the main church of Panzano. And the other one that is San Leolino, located outside the village, close to the estate.
And another fantastic view over there.
Yes.
I love to go there.
It's beautiful.
They have a kind of terrace in front of the church. It's also a beautiful place. And when you enter the church, you can see the cross.
Exactly.
And I always get goosebumps.
It's the cross of Flaccionello. Yes. It's a touristic area now, even the church, because everybody wants to see, the cross of Flaccionello.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful one. The label Flaccionello for me is one of the most beautiful that we have.
Very classical.
Yes, it's very classic. It's an icon, no?
Now, You're traveling a lot through the world, let me say, with I can imagine a lot of bottles in your luggage as well, or let me see, some bottles. You are flying a lot of hours and you can trust me. I don't envy you. Your hours and flying all over the world. But with what I would also like to experience are the many different people you meet in different regions of the world. Take us a while with you. What are the big differences between all the business partners or clients you find, the personalities you meet there? The differences between Americans, Asians, Europeans? Is it also in understanding the wine, in tasting the wine? Do you have to do more education for them? Take us with us.
Okay, yes. So, yes, as I told you, so I've started to take care of the export, like few years ago. So at the beginning, I used to travel with my father like for 1 year in order, to make some experience and to learn everything. And then I started like at the beginning of, 2019 to travel by myself. Okay. That's important to underline. I do everything by myself and I even book my flights, hotels by myself.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's beautiful because one of my passion is travel. And so I have the opportunity to travel over the world doing my job, but it's also tough because sometimes I have to go very far away or to stay there like a couple of weeks. So it's tough. And when I come back, I'm always very tired, but it's beautiful. Imagine to have like a glass of wine, of my wine, like in a small city, like in the USA or in Japan. It's amazing. And to bring, our story, our wine over there, this is something magical. I always have goosebumps, yes. And so consider export is the main part of our business. This is common for everybody now in Italy, especially in Tuscany. And we export 80% of the production. So just 20% is sold in Italy. And we sell the wines all over the world in more than 65 countries. Yes, some of them are historical markets like Canada, USA, UK, and other new markets like Asian markets or Australia, New Zealand, South American. And consider we started to export wines in 1969. And the first market, that is the main market for us, is USA. And so we started a collaboration with our American importer in 1979 with my grandfather. And my father was so young, yes. So this is a nice story because the owner of this company, so Mr. Nocerino, he was here like in Tuscany in 79. He was looking for some wines, to export in USA because he didn't have any company at the time. But his dream was to found, a wine importer company. And so he found Fontodi, he found my grandparents. So they invited him like to have lunch together in the house. They let him to try the wine and he loved the wines and he asked them, so why don't we start a collaboration? And I try to sell the wine in New York and we started from there. Yes. And
what a nice story.
Nice story. And so USA is our main market, even for this reason. And we sell like around 20% of the production there. Then the second market is Canada, and then UK, and general Northern Europe countries like Germany, Switzerland, Holland, Denmark, etc. And we started recently, like 2018-19, to export the wines even to Thailand, Japan, Korea, Hong Kong, so Asian markets. And
how do they pronounce Chianti Classico?
So Chianti Classico is not so difficult. Flaccianello is so hard. Really? Yes, it's so difficult to pronounce.
Funny.
They call it Flaccanello.
Flaccanello, okay.
And they say Fontodi. No Fontodi.
Yeah.
And Filetta di Lamole, they call it La Mole.
La Mole. But also I think the Germans.
Yes, even Germans. Yes, exactly. So there are a lot of difference between the markets. So there are some markets are, historical markets, traditional like USA, Canada, and other new markets, completely two different words. So
I think it's difficult for you as well to always to get into the market.
Yes. So consider I travel most of the time to Canada, USA. Okay. So I have more experience there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to Korea and Japan, but will be my second time. Okay. Just to have an idea. So, it's also different, the work that we do in the market. So like in USA or Canada, we do some appointments with the sommelier, the restaurants. We let them to try the bottles. We don't do in Asia because I don't know, they are so shy. Yeah? We just do like seminars and masterclass because this is important. They need to be educated. To the wines. So I'm gonna do some masterclass and seminars, even staff training with the team members of my importer there, because they don't know anything about the wines. They don't have any culture about the wines. So this is a funny story that I wanna share with you. So last week I was with a lady at the winery. She was there for a tasting, and she told me that many years ago she had occasion to do like a sassicaia tasting, and there was a Japanese sommelier there, and consider they tried a lot of old vintage of sassicaia, so amazing tasting. And this guy, he put Coca-Cola inside the glass of sassicaia. So they don't have any culture, any idea, and so for them is important. What a shame. So for them is important brand. So they drink sassicaia, they drink Flaccianello because those are luxury brands. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is so different. Yeah. So they don't care about the quality, etc. But they drink a lot. They drink a lot. They drink a lot of wines and alcohol in general, and so they need to be educated. Okay, so that's so important. So especially of Chianti Classico, I'm gonna have some tasting with Chianti Classico. We're gonna do some masterclass there. Okay, so focusing on Gran Selezione, Chianti Classico, etc. USA or Canada, totally different world. So they know Chianti Classico, they know all the different regions in Italy since many years because they've started to have our wines like in the 80s, something like that. Yes. And they also prefer wines with more structure, concentration for aging. A lot of collectors, so they want to buy a lot of old vintages to keep in their cellar. And but they drink the wine even without food. So instead in Europe we have the same culture. We drink the wine together with the food, so they're part of our culture. Yes.
Is there a difference for you between the Scandinavian countries and the Southern European countries, or?
Oh yes, more or less is the same. Like in Norway, we sell more the Annata than the top wines.
This is why I'm often there.
Yeah.
And I always buy the Annata there.
Yes. I don't know why. Yes, maybe they prefer, also maybe it's important the price. Maybe they prefer to buy something cheaper. And yes, consider the most exported wines are the Sangiovese. Yes. We sell more the international varieties in Italy. And but it depends on the market, you know. But like in the USA, Canada, for the Flaccianello is they buy a lot of top wines. It's in Northern Europe more the entry level. Yes, it depends.
But Panzano is your base, let me say.
Yes.
Let's come back to Panzano. It is we spoke about it, a little village directly in the heart of Chianti Classico, and it's famous for the producer association, the so-called Unione Viticoltori di Panzano. Not least thanks to this association, most of the vineyards here in Panzano are organically farmed. This in turn has earned Panzano a special title in the word press many years ago. It's called the Bio District of Italy, which was really at that, I think it is, 10, 15 years ago, it was really something which makes the producers here in Panzano very proud.
Yes.
Your father was one of the leading producers, not the only one, but one of the leading producers for it here in Panzano. And at that time now he's the president of the Consorzio. And at that time he was the president of the Unione in Panzano. So I think he has a big part of it. What do you think the future holds for Panzano and in Chianti and for the Unione? What do you think?
Yeah, so in Panzano we have this association of producers that is called the Unione Viticoltori di Panzano, and it was born in 95. It was born in 95, and my father is one of the first members, of course, and we are still, of course, in the association. And so the idea of the Unione was to create like a group of friends that share a passion about the wines in order to, to promote the territory, the Panzano, our vineyards, etc. And for them, it was also so important, the organic philosophy. So the organic viticulture. So they founded the first organic district in Italy, and we are so proud about that. And in 95, consider 95, the percentage of organic wineries, it was not as high as today. No, now today is growing a lot. It's so important. We are so happy about that. But 95, we were the first. So this is important to underline, because for them it was so important to make an organic, organic agriculture. Yes. And they started collaboration with Ruggero Mazzilli, that is the owner of Spevis, like in those years, I think in the 90s. Yes. And so he has like a station. He controls like the presence of some buds, like in the vineyards.
So it's assistance for the producers.
Yes, assistance for producers. And now he started to collaborate also with the other wineries in the Chianti Classico. But everything started in Panzano. And that's so important for us. And every year we organize a little wine festival that is called the Vino al Vino.
It's not a little one. It's one of the best, I would say.
It's little because we are in a little village, but it's quite famous now.
Yeah,
no?
It's very famous.
Yes.
And I read once an article in, I think it was the Wall Street Journal. They called it one of the top 5 wine festivals in the world.
Wow. Yes. And the first year was 95. Yes. And this year we are celebrating the 30th anniversary. Yes. So we're gonna organize something to celebrate the anniversary. So it will be a special edition. And during this festival, you have the occasion, the opportunity to try all the wines of all the producers. Yes,
which is one of the best.
But it's important to underline that we are friends. We are a community. We are like a big family. There's no competition between us. It's so important to understand that sometimes people think that you are in competition with your neighbor. No, we are all together, friends. We make wines in a Panzano, so everybody has its own philosophy. Different style.
Thanks God. Yes. So otherwise it would be too similar.
Yes. And consider we are to 23 wineries, and yes, it was a big number, and all friends are so important. And all of them are organic, except I think 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So this is so important as well. Because if you are organic and your neighbor, spray chemical products, it doesn't have any sense to be organic. It's so difficult to be organic. Mm. So this is so important. And now there are association of producers in all of Chianti Classico. In Chianti Classico, there are 11 villages, but the first one is the one of Panzano. Yes. So we are very proud of that. And now there's also the new generation, even in the association. Recently was elected in the Consiglio with the other 2, children of the original members. One is this guy from Felciano, and another one, she's the daughter of Valeria from Le Cincele. Yes, and because the other members, they believed in us, so they voted for us. So this was a great honor for us. So we will try to do our best. Yes.
Fine, and then you see the future for the Unione, the new generation.
We have, new ideas.
Yeah. This is good.
We want to, of course, to keep our tradition, everything, but in a modern way, to even talk about the communication. So.
And how do you see Chianti Classico in the future worldwide?
So Chianti Classico, the consortium is doing an amazing job, and yes, they have done an amazing job during the years. And consider now we are famous, we are known everywhere in the world. Yes, especially so important now. Finally, the customer, they know the difference between Chianti and Chianti Classico.
Yeah.
Yes. because they are doing a lot of masterclass seminars. This is also part of my job because even the reason why I'm going to Asia is to participate at a huge tasting of Chianti Classico in Korea and Japan. So we do masterclass focused on Gran Selezione, the new rules, for this category. And also we have a new project called the UGA. There are sort of subzones. So there are 11 UGA. And we could put the name of the UGA on the label of Gran Selezione. So we have a lot of new projects. And now everybody told me that Chianti Classico is an appellation for young people. Because they are so dynamic, no? They are doing a lot of funny things. So last year we have celebrated the 100th anniversary. We have done a lot of events and we had amazing success. We have done, for example, some reel. We're producers and everybody were super excited and super happy about that. So even because we have amazing staff there. And also, I don't know, maybe also due to my father, we could say, because my father is the president and he was reelected this year for the third mandate. And everybody loves him. Yeah. So it's not easy, to work with 500 different wineries, with different philosophy, different sizes. And so they're doing a great job. So I think the future will be brilliant.
At the end, Chianti Classico is a small region, worldwide speaking. But looking a little bit more internal, it's a huge differences. There are wineries.
Yes, exactly. Some are very big. There are small, different sizes and philosophy.
And then I'm in contact with wineries who are 3 hectares.
Yes, of course.
And they also produce an excellent wine.
Yes,
they have a fantastic philosophy.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of our region.
Yes, I would like to say it's the beauty and that's what makes Chianti Classico so rich for my opinion.
Different wineries and also different terroir, of course. Yes.
And climate. And climate. So we could restart. Margherita, grazie. Grazie for your time. I wish you all the best for your future.
Thank you so much.
Good luck. Fantastic vintages. Big sales.
Yeah.
And a fantastic future overall.
Grazie mille, Nina. Ciao. Grazie mille.
Ganz herzlichen Dank an Margherita nochmals für ihre Offenheit, ihre Zeit und diese wunderbaren Einblicke in die Welt von Fontodi, aber auch in die Seele des weltberühmten Weins Flaccianello. Ich hoffe, du konntest etwas für dich mitnehmen. Vielleicht ein bisschen Inspiration, vielleicht auch einfach die Lust auf ein gutes Glas Wein. Bevor ich es aber vergesse, beim Rausgehen hat Margherita mich noch kurz gestoppt und gesagt, ach, ich habe das Wichtigste gar nicht gesagt. Für unseren Flaccianello verwenden wir nur die allerbesten Trauben des Weinguts. Tja, besser kann man es eigentlich nicht zusammenfassen, unser wunderbares Gespräch. Wie immer findest du in den Shownotes noch Links für mehr Informationen über Fontodi mit vielen Bildern und Details zu den Weinen. Und natürlich auch den Link zu dem wunderbaren Chianti Classico, den wir während unseres Gesprächs getrunken haben. Wenn du jetzt Lust bekommen haben solltest, was ich verstehen könnte, die Weine von Fontodi schon mal selbst zu probieren, dann kannst du diese in meinem Online-Shop finden. Ich hoffe, dass ich dich auch heute mitnehmen konnte in meine Chianti Classico Welt. Denn das ist meine Passion, mein Auftrag. So fühle ich es zumindest. Bis zum nächsten Mal, hoffentlich. Ich freue mich auf dich. Ciao, a presto!
Drum schenk ihm ein,